am trying out the VCam application from the XSplit team. Give me your thoughts on how it looks. Does it look amazing? Or does it look like absolute trash? Please, tell me in the comments. I will be talking about various parts of the game. I highly recommend you play the game yourself. It's free. Or watch my videos on the game. So, spoiler alert! Doki Doki Literature Club is a cute visual novel game where you write your way into the hearts of the three girls with a wicked twist. In the prologue of the game, you play as the male main character, whom you can name in the beginning of the outside, waiting for your childhood friend named Sayori. You then walk together to school. Then Sayori starts up a conversation about clubs. She asks about if you joined any clubs yet. The MC responds with, he doesn't want to join any clubs. Upon response, Sayori pesters the MC because she's worried about his future. The MC soon gave in and promised that he would try to look for one. After school is over, Sayori pays the MC a visit and asks him if he would like to join her club. He refuses. But then he was bribed by cupcakes. The MC begrudgingly agrees. The two of them make their way to the club room. Upon entering, the MC is greeted by three girls named Monika, Natsuki, and Yuri. After the greetings are exchanged, they all then eat cupcakes that were made by Natsuki and tea prepared by Yuri. After discussing literature-related topics, Monika talks to the MC as to why she decided to make a literature club. Then after they talk more about literature-related topics, Monika decided to have everyone write poems for each other and make a friendship between the club members and to know each other better. The MC responds by saying he never decided to join the club, upon which the club members became sad. He then felt bad and decided to join, which gladdened the club members, which officially made him a part of the club. Shortly after the club is over, Sayori and the MC walked home together. Sayori is excited in writing a poem. The MC begins to think about the girls and about the poem, which excites him as well. At this point in the game, it splits into different routes between Sayori, Natsuki, and Yuri. And I will explain what happened in each route. In Natsuki's route, after the daily greetings and chatting, the MC approaches Natsuki. She is upset that one of her manga is missing from her collection. The MC then finds it, to which gladdens Natsuki. She then takes the book and slides it in the middle, again completing the collection. The MC then takes a look at the book. Natsuki then explains to never judge by appearance. Then the two sit together and read the first volume of Natsuki's manga. While reading, the MC soon finds out that Natsuki got into baking because it was in a book. The two continue to read, enjoying each other's company. We then find out that Natsuki doesn't have any friends to share her interest in manga with. Sharing it with the MC made Natsuki really happy and excited because she finally is expressing herself and her interest to someone. Now, at this point in the game, you share poems with the clubmates. Their responses vary, depending on the words you use. In Natsuki's route, showing Sayori the poem, she likes it. When you show Natsuki, she loves it, though due to her personality, she's not very open about her feelings. When you show Yuri your poem, she dislikes it, though she's very shy about it and have a hard time showing her feelings. Then gives constructive criticism. When you show Monika, she likes it and says that it's cute. Then explains that Natsuki likes these kind of poems. Then talks about the famous poet called Shel Silverstein, explaining that writing small poems using simple words can be powerful, but is challenging to do right. After the MC shows everyone his poem, he takes a breather. He then witnessed Natsuki and Yuri sharing poems. Shortly after, they get into a heated argument. Soon after, you then get the option to choose a side, or let Sayori handle it. Whichever option you choose will increase your relationship with that character. In Natsuki's route, after choosing her, the MC says that using small but simple words can be impressive, to which Natsuki responds like she is superior. The MC then disciplines Natsuki. Then he explains that writing is personal and sharing can be hard. He then tells Natsuki that she doesn't need to feel threatened because she's a great writer too. He then tells Yuri that she is also a great writer. Natsuki then apologizes to Yuri while feeling really embarrassed. After everything cools down, the club members relax for the rest of the time they are in the club. Then the MC and Sayori walks home. On day 2 of Natsuki's route, after a mischievous escapade, Natsuki approaches the MC expectantly. Ready to read the next volume, Natsuki goes to her collection, upon which she gets upset because Monika moves her collection while she tries to get the manga on the top shelf while she is on an office chair. She then has the MC holds the chair because the chair is wobbly. She then becomes flustered when she finds out the MC can see up her skirt, then starts freaking out and falls on him, making him fall as well. She then gets up finding out that her manga is damaged. As she tries to fix it, she gives up and breaks down. Natsuki then reveals that her life is tough, and her only happiness is the club. The MC then consoles Natsuki after cleaning up the mess they started reading. After the time has passed, everyone starts to share poems. Sayori likes the poem, Natsuki loves the poem, and actually admits that she's trying to impress the MC. Then the MC says that he's trying to impress Natsuki, shocking her. She then leaves the classroom for a moment. After coming back, she then asks to keep the poem. The MC agrees. After the MC reads Natsuki's poem, she then expresses her enjoyment in sharing her writing with him. After showing Yuri his poem, she then becomes sad and starts overthinking by saying that when she disrespected Natsuki, she disrespected the MC, beating herself up over it. She then tells the MC to not force himself to be around her and closes herself from him. When the MC approached Monika, she tells him how happy she is that he's getting along with her. Getting along with Natsuki, that is. Then the MC reads Monika's poem. After everyone is done sharing, the club members then discuss what they will be doing for the school festival. They decided to perform poems to make the occasion the best that it can be. They use the rest of the club time to practice performing poems. Sayori and the MC walk home together. On this part of the game, Sayori will ask you if Natsuki or Yuri asks to walk home with the MC, will he accept their offer? In Natsuki's route, the thought of walking home with Natsuki makes his heart pound. He jokingly says how he would be afraid to say no. Sayori then makes a chilling remark. She says that it won't be long before she won't need him anymore. The MC then say that nobody is a replacement for her. Day 3 on Natsuki's route. Monika, Yuri, and Natsuki talk about how fun the festival is going to be. All the while, Sayori is sitting at a desk in the corner of the room, looking down at nothing. The MC then approaches Sayori to find out what's up. Sayori is very dismissive though, and tries to make the MC talk to everybody else. He then walks towards Monika, trying to get some information, but Monika doesn't know what's up with Sayori. So he asks Monika to talk to her about it. Monika agrees. While feeling worried, Natsuki approaches the MC, manga in hand. They then discuss a little about Sayori, then begin to read together. After a time passes, they all share poems. When sharing with Sayori, she becomes sad, then asks if the MC is happy in the club, to which he responds, of course. Which makes Sayori happy. After a short discussion, Sayori decides to go home early. When the MC shares his poem with Natsuki, she becomes excited and can't wait to read the poem. Upon which, Natsuki unknowingly admits that she was shy and jealous of the MC's previous works. The MC then discovers that Natsuki is not confident in her writing, and that Natsuki acts so arrogant because she's trying to make up for her own insecurities. Natsuki then opens up to the MC about problems. She began to feel insecure, and tries to prevent the MC from reading her poem. He then says that he likes her poems, and consoles her. After that, he read her poem, and is impressed and happy by it. After reading it, he tries to return it to her, but she wants him to keep it. He accepts. When the MC approaches Yuri, she doesn't want to talk to him or even be around him. He then gives up on trying to share with her. When the MC approaches Monika, she asks if he decided what poem she's going to perform. When she reads his poem, she asked him if he really likes Natsuki. They then discuss about Natsuki's personality and how she's assertive, but not selfish, yet unpredictable. Since she's the youngest, she doesn't fully know what she wants. After everyone shares each other's poems, Monika began to make plans to prepare for the festival. Natsuki is making cupcakes for the attendants to enjoy. Yuri is making banners and bringing scented candles to make a great atmosphere. At this point in the game, you had 4 choices to pick. In Natsuki's route, you get her number, and she comes over to his house to make the cupcakes. While making the cupcakes, the two begin a small food fight. The MC accidentally got icing on Natsuki's face, and she responds with a icing-covered attack from her finger. He counters by grabbing her wrist. Natsuki tries to use her other hand to fight back. He grabs that one as well. They then exchange playful banter. Then all of a sudden, the MC puts Natsuki's finger with the icing on it in his mouth. She was surprised, then began to get aroused. As she blushes, she then states that you shouldn't do that to someone unless you really like them. The air around them changes. They gaze at each other in silence. The mood's broken by the sound of the fire alarm. After dealing with the situation, the two make the cupcakes and try some. Impressed with their work, after cleaning up everything, they both exit the house. The MC expresses that he had fun, and he would like to spend more time with Natsuki. She blushes and accepts his offer. Before she leaves, she gets close to him, standing inches from him. Natsuki looks up at him, her fingers gently clutch at the side of his shirt, as if holding on to him. But then she suddenly jumps back. Then Sayuri shows up. Both the MC and Natsuki are surprised. After a short chat, Natsuki hurries off, clearly flustered as Sayuri waves goodbye. Now, I will be talking about Yuri's story, then Sayuri's story. I will be skipping some parts because some things are the same with each route. Skipping the prologue, on day 1, if you choose Yuri's words, you approach Yuri asking about the book she's reading. Then later began to read together. The MC talked about how the character in the book resembles Yuri, about how she second-guessed herself, and her mannerisms. The MC then tells Yuri that it's cute, which makes her blush. Then at that time, everyone shares each other's poem. Sayuri likes your poem. Natsuki doesn't like it, and accuses you of not trying. The MC then says that she's just starting, and he will get better. Yuri loves the poem. She pretty much says that it's amazing, and that she then becomes embarrassed, and starts beating herself up about it. The MC then consoles her. When he shows Monika, she was impressed by it. She explains the kind of poem he wrote. She then says that Yuri likes these kind of poems, that it's filled with imagery and symbolism. Then the argument happens, but on Yuri's route, the MC tells Yuri that Natsuki felt threatened when Yuri called Natsuki's poem cute. Then he scolds Natsuki. Natsuki got upset, then Monika stepped in to tell Natsuki to apologize. Natsuki, she then feels cornered. She destroys her poem, and then leaves the room to take a walk. Yuri then feels embarrassed for acting the way she did. Then the MC consoles her. Day 2 of Yuri's route. The MC approaches Yuri. He notices that she is reading a different book. He wants to read it with her. She accepts. She then wants to make tea first. Then they begin to read with each other. Yuri is zoning out while she is reading her book. The MC then feeds her chocolate. She unknowingly parted her lips to eat the chocolate. She was then transported back into reality and notices what she did. She then blushes, accepting what happened. She then becomes aroused, asking to be fed more. The MC accepts. Both of them got pretty excited. But before anything else could happen, Monika tells everyone that it was time to share poems. When you show Sayuri, she likes it. If you show the poem to Natsuki, she finds out that the poem is for Yuri. It doesn't even give you the time of day. And when you show Yuri, she is surprised that it's so good. She is glad that she is appreciated by the MC. She then tells him that she doesn't share her poems because she thinks that people might laugh at her or hate her. When he shows Monika, she likes it and thinks it's better than the one before. After the poem practice scene, the MC and Sayuri walk home. Sayuri asks, what if Yuri asks him to walk home? In Yuri's route, he gets excited about the thought. On the next day, after Sayori starts acting upset and worries the MC, Yuri was observing him. He notices, and Yuri apologizes. She basically asks what's on his mind, and if he wants to talk about it. They then talk about it. Then they hang out, until it's time to share poems. When in Yuri's route, when showing Sayori, she says the same thing as the last time, except she says it's probably for Yuri. When trying to show Natsuki, she won't even look at it and dismisses you. When he shows Yuri, she loves the poem and thinks that it's the best one. He then says that he only got better because of her. She then gets happy, then tells him that she is pretty much a loner and reads books all the time when she's alone, and is pretty much says that she prefers books over people. Because she doesn't want to deal with people's negativity, she really didn't want to associate with anybody until she met the MC. Encourages her to be herself. Then he reads her poem and asks him to keep it. He accepts. When he shows Monica, she likes it and thinks that it's improved, and then they talk about Yuri. She is sensitive. After that, everything plays out the same until the MC decides who he wants to spend the weekend with. In Yuri's route, you exchange numbers with her and walk home. He meets up with Yuri at the house. They then start making decorations for the festival. She uses a blue knife she brought from home to cut the ribbons. He notices the artistic design and asks about it. She then reveals her interest in knives and that she has a collection at home. He then asks to hold it. After Yuri hands it to him, he accidentally cuts his finger by touching the blade. Yuri gets a closer look at the wound, fidgets, and then puts the wounded finger into her mouth. You heard that right! Guess she likes the taste of copper. Anyways, the act shocks the MC. He then instinctively pulls the finger out. He gets embarrassed and apologizes. She then becomes discouraged and doesn't want to talk until he puts her finger in his mouth. She then becomes shocked and laughs. They then get back into making the decorations. After they get done with the decorations, they then start to make a banner. While painting the banner, they accidentally bump into each other, which got a little paint on Yuri's face. He then got a damp cloth with water on it and starts wiping off the paint. As he retracts his hand, she grabs his wrist and asks for him to keep going. While he keeps going, she looks into his eyes, making an intense expression that he recognizes from when he reads her books, almost as if she's lost in a daze. Enveloped by her own thoughts, she breathes gently, half through slightly parted lips. She then wraps her gentle fingers around his wrist, sending a tingling sensation through his arm. And suddenly, her face seems to be much closer to him than it was just a moment ago. She then apologizes. She was spacing out. They then get back into making the banner. After some time pass, they look at their work, feeling satisfied. After collecting their things, Yuri and the MC leaves the house. They both wish to hang out again. Yuri accepts, then squeezes his hand, then gets closer, then suddenly pulls back. Then Sayori appears to say hi. Yuri then says that she is already about to leave, and that they will see each other at the festival. She then hurries off, clearly embarrassed, as Sayori waves goodbye. Now, the final route of Act 1 of Sayori. Everything plays out the same, but if you choose Sayori's words, the MC will slump on his desk, doing nothing. He shortly falls asleep. That's when Sayori approaches him and scolds him for sleeping. He then notices that Sayori looks a bit messy and fixes her up. Then they talk about taking care of each other, and everyone shares each other's poems. When you show Sayori, she loves it and is impressed by it. When he shows Natsuki, she thinks that it's okay. When he shows Yuri, she feels indifferent. When he shows Monica, she likes it, and then states that Sayori and the MC take care for each other, and talk about Sayori's taste in poems. Skipping to the argument at the end, in Sayori's route, the MC pretty much asks Sayori for help. Time passes, and the MC and Sayori walks home. On the next day, After the first scene, Monica have Sayuri and me get art supplies for the posters they're going to make. While making way to another classroom, they both talk about what they will be doing at the festival, and Sayuri does a demonstration of performing a poem. After that, they enter the classroom. They find the supplies they need. Sayuri fiddles around with the crayons, dropping one as she tries to get it. She accidentally smacks her head against something. Her forehead begins to swell, so the MC grabs a cold beverage from the vending machine in the hallway to give to her to use as an ice pack. They then start to reminisce about their childhood. Then, they return to the club room and explain to Monica what happened, and then everyone shares each other's poems. When you show Sayuri, she loves it and is impressed by it. The MC then reveals that Sayuri is his inspiration. She then asks to keep the poem, and he accepts. When he shows Natsuki, she thinks it's only okay. When you show Yuri, she likes it and says that he's improved, then gives him writing tips. When he shows Monica, she thinks it's good. After the poem rehearse scene, Sayuri and the MC walks home. During the walk, if Yuri asks him to walk home, in Sayuri's route, he says that he wouldn't ditch her, and how he doesn't want to ruin her opportunity to walk with him. On the next day, after the scene where Sayuri starts to get dismissive, there is no Sayuri scene after that. It just skips to the poem sharing. When he shows Sayuri, she thinks it's the best one so far, and is surprised that he isn't writing like the other girls. He then admits that he likes writing for Sayuri. She then breaks down, sobbing, saying that if he hanged out with the other girls, this would be easier. He then asks what's wrong, that he wants to cheer her up. Sayuri pretty much says that it's not a big deal, then decides to leave early. Then he shows Natsuki his poem, and she likes it, and is glad that he is trying. When he shows Yuri, she is glad that he is improving. She then feels discouraged because she believes that nobody likes her. Then he pretty much says that that's not true. She then wishes to be alone. He obliges. When he shows Monica, she thinks it's kind of funny how Sayuri and the MC writing gets more and more similar each day. They then start talking about the way Sayuri was acting. After everyone gets done sharing, they decided the plans for the festival. In Sayuri's route, they will say that she's already helping Monica. When he picks Monica instead of Natsuki and Yuri, they get upset. It starts this debate why he shouldn't work with Monica. Then they start to argue. Then they decided that he should help Natsuki or Yuri. After the club is over, worrying about Sayuri, he goes to her house. She then reveals that she had depression her whole life. The MC then tries to cheer Sayuri up. Skipping the baking scene, Sayuri talks about how her thoughts are getting to her, and is glad that he is making friends. Glad that he got so close to the girls. But even so, she still felt sad. The MC pretty much says that it's not as bad as she makes it out to be, and that he will stay with her forever. Then confesses his love for Sayuri. Then they embrace each other. Sayuri is filled with uncertainty, but the MC ensures that everything is alright. The next day is the day of the festival. The MC called Sayuri on his cell, but didn't get an answer. He wanted to wake up Sayuri, but he decided to give her space. He then makes his way to school, where he meets Monica. They then talk about Sayuri. Then he takes a look at the pamphlets that was made. While flipping through some pages, he then noticed something strange. The poem isn't the one that Sayuri practiced. It's one he haven't read before. After reading Sayuri's poem, he then gets a pit in his stomach. He then decided to go to Sayuri's house to get her. On his way there, he starts to freak out. He then goes to Sayuri's house. Like yesterday, he lets himself in. He calls out her name, but all he got in return was silence. He gulps in anticipation. He walks his way to Sayuri's bedroom door. He knocks. He once again calls out her name, but there was no response. He has no choice but to enter her room. He slowly opens up the door, and that's where he saw it! Sayuri's lifeless corpse hanging from the ceiling. He is filled with unending dread. He blames himself for Sayuri's death, filled with agonizing sorrow. His mind fades to black. After the sequence of events, you are greeted with... Well, okay, this is normal. Upon clicking this button, it seemingly takes you back to the beginning of the game. But something is different. The course of events that happened in the beginning of the game has been rewritten. The MC walks to school alone. After school, he's greeted by Monica and was invited to join the literature club. He accepts. They then make their way to the literature club. He is then greeted by two girls named Natsuki and Yuri. After their greeting, they have cupcakes and tea. They then talk about why the club is so small and how Monica wants to grow the club. Then talk about what kind of literature they're interested in. Then they talk about poems and how Natsuki and Yuri aren't confident in their writing. Then Monica gets the idea to have everyone share his poems. Shortly after, the MC joins the club. And shortly after that, the MC left home to write a poem. Now, at this point in the game, things will be the same, like on day one at the beginning of the game, but there will be some subtle and some not so subtle differences. Starting with Natsuki, if you choose her words, you will read some of the manga with her. There are some altered texts here and there. At one point, when you read with her, she falls asleep. Then this happens. At this point, Monica gives Natsuki a protein bar. While Monica says that everything is fine, then they start to share poems. When you show Natsuki, she loves it, and the same events happen from the first day. When you show Yuri, she feels indifferent, and the same events happen from the first day. When you show Monica, she likes it and talks about how Natsuki's dad doesn't give her lunch money or leaves her any food in the house, which is why she's in a fussy mood pretty often, and that she collapses sometimes, and that she is so small because of her malnutrition is interfering with her adolescent growth. After you read her poem, the argument scene happens, but this time it is enhanced, with both of them being really harsh to each other and using profanity. At this point in the game, you can't actually choose a girl. Instead, Monica takes you outside till it's over. Once it's done, Natsuki leaves the room in tears. Then the MC and Monica re-enters the room, where you see Yuri rocking back and forth her desk, with her palms on her forehead. She then starts to freak out over her mistake, and states that something is wrong with her. Monica then makes a chilling remark. Yuri then wants to talk with the MC alone. Monica agrees, to which this happens. If you choose words for Yuri, the beginning and end events are the same. You start to read with her on the first day, but some text is altered, and Yuri starts to get excited while breathing heavily. She then excuses herself from the club room. Monica then starts the poem sharing without Yuri. When you show Natsuki, she doesn't like it, and what she tells you is slightly harsher from the first day from before. Other than that, she says the same stuff. When you show Monika, she then starts to talk about Yuri, how she feels that she gets the impression that Yuri have given up on people. How she spends so much time in her own head that it's probably a much more interesting place for her. Which makes her feel really happy when the MC treats Yuri with such kindness. She isn't used to being indulged like that, and that it's not to blame her if she comes on strongly. Then Yuri returns. After you read Monika's poem, you show Yuri your poem, and she loves it. In fact, she loves it so much that she's impressed and thinks the MC has done it before. After that, everything plays out the same. Now, at this point in the game, it doesn't matter as to who you choose the words for. The events that happen will remain the same, except the subtle difference on Yuri treating Natsuki like trash. If you choose Natsuki's words upon entering the club, the MC is greeted by Yuri. She then takes you near the closet and apologizes, and explains that she isn't usually like that. The MC understands that and accepts her apology. Then Natsuki asks Yuri and the MC if they have seen Monika, and is wondering where she is. Yuri then decides to apologize to Natsuki, but her response surprised Yuri. Natsuki says that she has no idea what she's talking about, but accepts her apology anyway. Monika then enters the club room, and apologizes for being late. She explains that she is late because she was practicing piano. After that, Yuri asks to read with the MC. He accepts. Before they start to read, Yuri wants to make some tea. After plugging in the electric kettle, she then gets a pitcher to get water from the water fountain. The MC offers to tag along, but Yuri refuses, and said that it won't take long. She then leaves. It's been a while since Yuri has left, and the MC got bored, and decided to look for her. While walking along the hallway, he found Yuri. However, then all of a sudden, time has been rewinded and rewritten to Yuri coming back with the water. Then they start to read. The scene here plays the same until the MC feeds Yuri chocolate. Oh, that's freaky! After that, they share poems. When showing Natsuki, she calls the MC out on him not actually trying to improve his writing and trying to impress Yuri, which is pretty meta. She then starts bashing on the MC, pretty much says that he is disappointing, and tells him to go away. If you show Yuri, she's surprised, and says that it's better than the last one. The MC says that he is bitter because of Yuri, which makes her happy. She then says that she loves his writing, and after reading her poem, she says her mind has been hyperactive lately, and then admits she stole his pen. When approaching Monika, she says he saw something he wasn't supposed to see. She then gets worried for him, because she says that it's dangerous that she's spending so much time with Yuri. She then explains that Yuri is easily excitable when she's around the MC, and tells him when she gets too excited, she goes somewhere to cut herself, and she brings a different knife to school every day, and pretty much says to stay away from Yuri. She then says to spend time with her. It says that Yuri is not right in the head. It says that she doesn't treat people right. After reading her poem, she was going to explain what it's about, but decided not to, saying that it doesn't matter. Then, during one of her tips of the day, she says something interesting. After that nightmare fuel, they talk about what they will do. Natsuki states that she doesn't want other people in the club. Monika explains why they should. To build, grow, and make an unforgettable experience that you can't find anywhere else. Natsuki then lets out a truth bomb. Monika then gets sad and sulks. Yuri then scolds Natsuki. Natsuki then explains that the club is pretty much the only place where she can have fun and be herself. Then she leaves. Then asks him what he wants out of the club. He gives a indirect answer like how a club should be an experience that you can't get anywhere else, and that it's not about quantity, it's about quality. They then decide to still do something for the festival. Monika then says that she thinks that Yuri is a wonderful vice president and a wonderful friend, and wants to make the club the best one ever. Then asks to talk to the MC alone. Yuri accepts and leaves. Then Monika says that she hopes that the MC is having a great time at the club, and that she cares about him, and how she doesn't want the other girls to give him a hard time, and pretty much says that she wants to spend more time with him. And then on the next day, Natsuki shouts, wondering where Monika is. Then Yuri was being rude to Natsuki. Natsuki, wondering what's up, says that Yuri don't usually act like this. Yuri then asks if it's really that bad. Natsuki then replies with, "It is something with Yuri." Yuri replies with, "She'll get over it," and dismisses it. Then Monika walks in. After talking about how she was practicing the piano, they talk about how they will be attending the festival. They talk about how they don't want things to change, but they will be doing it anyway. Then Yuri bribes Natsuki with manga. Natsuki laughs, and then she apologized for the other day, how she got upset about Monika wanting the club to grow. Natsuki would also accept anyone who wants to join, as long as they're cool. She also said that she would hate to see the event suck if she didn't participate, and wants to give it her best. Everybody makes up. Then Yuri and the MC read together, but before they read, Yuri wants to make some tea. The scene plays out the same until we get some Yuri backstory about how when she was younger, she would come on strongly and get a little intense with people she just met, which made people around her hate her, which made her hate those things about herself, her obsession with her hobbies, and the way she can't control herself when she gets too excited about something. She eventually just stopped talking to people. Then she talks about how every time she goes to the club, she starts to go crazy. Then talks about how Monica seems off. After that, she goes off on a tangent and starts talking about a bunch of random stuff while going crazy, if she wasn't already at that point. Then the game literally skips to the poem skit sharing part. When you share with Natsuki, she refuses to read it, but makes you read her poem. After reading her poem, the game glitches out. Then when you share with Yuri, she says that she loves it and asks to take it home. The MC accepts. Yuri then gets excited and she starts getting creepy. Then she tells you to read hers. After Yuri says some chilling text, Yuri snaps out of it, then runs away. When you show Monica, she only says one sentence. After that, Monica and the others discuss about the festival preparations. Things play the same, other than some text changes, until they decide what the MC is going to do. When Monica said that he is going to help her with her task, they then start to argue until he chooses who he wants to help. But the game was tampered so much that he has no choice but to pick Monica. After the choice, Monica and the three start to argue again. Then Yuri starts to get really hostile, to the point where Natsuki and Monica exited the room. Then reluctant to accept or deny her confession. But the choice doesn't matter, because both choices ends with the same result. With Yuri's untimely demise. There is no text, there is no sounds, there is no life coming from Yuri. Staring into the dark abyss, that is Yuri's eyes, her cold, lifeless eyes. And yet, the MC does nothing, says nothing. It's almost as if he was frozen in time. Days pass, until it was time for the festival. Natsuki enters the room, excited for the festival. She is surprised to see him so early. Then she suddenly screams in terror, as she spots Yuri's soulless body on the floor. She begins to feel sick and vomits. Then she runs away, filled with fear and nauseousness. Then Monica appears, surprised to see Yuri's dead body. She says that it's a shame that she died, then asks if he was here the entire weekend. She didn't realize that the script was so broken, so badly, and apologizes, and wants to make up to it for him, and then proceeds to delete Yuri and Natsuki from the game. She then eats one of Natsuki's cupcakes before they stop existing. She says that she don't want him to wait any longer, and to give her a sec. Then all of a sudden, the game glitches out. The screen fades to black. And there you see a glitched version of Team Salvato's logo. The screen once again goes black, and After that, you are then taken to a glitched version of the poem maker, where you only can pick Monika's name as well as glitched versions. Then you are brought back into Monika's room. At this point in the game, you just sit there and wait for Monika to start talking to you. And she will keep talking to you until you delete her. After that, you are brought to the world, rebuilded, with all the girls returning. But this time, Monica isn't there. You are at the start of the game. The beginning is mostly the same, except instead of Monica being the president, Sayuri is the president. The two of you greet. Sayuri asks if he wanted to join a club. You then say that you are. Sayuri asks which one, and then you say it's a secret. Then you go to school. After school, you decided to pay the literature club a visit. Then upon entering, he is greeted by Sayuri. The other two girls greet him as well. After the greetings, you then decide that you are joining the club, which excites Sayuri. Then gives him a hug. The two other girls immediately accepts you as one of their own. They then celebrate by eating cupcakes and tea. The MC and Yuri then talks about what forms of literature they like. Natsuki comes forth and pretty much says that she's into manga. Yuri then suggests that they should diversify themselves a little, the way they could try something new. Sayuri suggests that they could all try something new, so they can get to know each other better. They all agree. So Natsuki and MC will read a novel, and Yuri will read a manga. Natsuki and Yuri decided that they will go to a bookstore where they will find a book for each other to read. As they start to clean up the food, Sayuri and MC is happy that they are getting along. Sayuri says that they like him, and MC says that everyone gets along because of Sayuri, which embarrasses her. MC was surprised that Sayuri told him that she was starting a club, then say that she is doing fine. She then says that now that he's here, every day is going to be fun. She then thanks MC that he joined, and reveals that she already knew that he was going to join, and she wanted to thank MC for spending time with all of them. If you got all of the girls CG, by the way, and the rest of the scenes is so heartwarming, I feel that it's best to show you. Now, it's time for the pros and cons. Pros, the character designs are great. I love the character archetypes. The music is catchy. The Easter eggs are awesome. More on that later. The deep meaning of the poems. More on that later. I felt emotionally invested in these characters. I love Monica as the villain of the game. I love how real world issues are put into this game. It makes it more relatable. I really wanted to know more about the character's backstory after beating the game. I wanted to know the character's after story. I love the meta moments in this game. I absolutely love the Monika's talk. Like, the things that she talks about are very fascinating and thought-provoking. Cons. It sucks that you can't save any of the girls. Natsuki rarely got any story. The MC is kind of a jerk. I had to look at Yuri's dead body for so long. Yuri treats Natsuki like trash on Act 2 if you choose Natsuki's words. And there is no backstory of Monika. Alright, now I will give you my personal rating on what I think of the game. Different aspects of the game, that is. Anyways, graphics 8. Since it's anime, the style's already good. However, it has a distinct difference in style. It's simple, soft, if that makes any sense, and a little glossy. And I love me some glossy anime. Music 8. Like I said before, the music is catchy. Some tracks made me feel emotion. The music on Yuri's death scene made me feel so distressed. The music that makes you feel is one of the best music. The music can be bubbly to downright horrifying. Cinematics 5. The cinematics are small here. I didn't dislike it, and I don't think they are amazing. Pictures of the girls move and change. Yuri stabbing herself, the black scribbles, etc. Very little stuff. But you know what this game didn't need? Big cinematics. Because the descriptions of the characters and what they are doing and the story is on point. Story 9. The story is fantastic. I love that in the different routes of Act 1, we get some backstory and learn more of the characters, but the cutesy demeanor of this game is just a front. The real story shows up after Sayori gets deleted. The Natsuki becomes more harsh, and you find out more of her backstory. You witness Yuri's descent into madness. Then you find out Monika's true intentions with a beautiful ending to wrap it up. On top of Monika's song, I just loved it. In fact, I loved it so much that I actually applauded when the credits were rolling. It's been a long time, man. A long time since I loved the game story so much. However, and I'm nitpicking here, I really wanted to know more of the character's backstory, especially Natsuki and Monika. And I wanted to know their after story. As much as I wanted to give it a 10, I couldn't. Content 6. There's only a story, which isn't bad, cause I love me a good story. There's a good chunk of game there to keep you busy for a while, especially Act 1. There's a lot of story here, but after that, there really is only one path to go. It doesn't matter what words you use at all in the end, it's the same. It would be awesome if there was an after story DLC or something. Also, mods don't count. Controls 5. All you do is click stuff, and they function properly. The controls aren't trash, and the controls aren't godlike. It's normal, you know? Like, it works. Gameplay 4. Visual novels typically don't have gameplay because they're more like an interactive story. The only real gameplay is picking words for the girls, which is okay and it works, but after the first sequence of word picking, it felt like it was kind of a chore to do, which is no good. During Monika's talk, I sat there for a very long time. Just reading Monika's text was very interesting. It made me think. It goes to show you how intelligent Monika really is. I seriously had like 3 hours worth of Monika's talk, but I couldn't use it, obviously. I can't even review this game without telling you the meaning of the poems, so let's get started! By the way, I got this information from tay.kinja.com. Link in the description! As Sayori admits in the game, she wrote the poem in the morning before school. It makes reference to her depression and how she doesn't want to wake up, except for when the sunshine comes. The sunshine in this poem can potentially refer to the protagonist, as her love for him is what keeps her alive/awake. The sad poem is about Sayori's relationship with her friends, and how everyone sees her as a source of happiness and joy, the bottles, and has come to expect that from her, even though Sayori actually suffers from depression. As a result, Sayori tries and tries to find positivity to give to her friends, digging deeper into her feelings into the process. Eventually, she runs out, and her head is devoid of any real happiness. This poem is the first scary moment in the game, as it's shown before the protagonist discovers Sayori's corpse. It's clearly a reference to Monika's meddling in Sayori's emotions to make her more depressed, and Sayori seems to have become somewhat aware of her presence. She seeks her suicide as a result of her love for the protagonist, and the final 2 lines imply that her depression will continue even after she stops moving. This cute poem, as Natsuki directly tells you, is about giving up. Her poems generally have the least hidden meaning, as she likes to message to jump out at the readers. It's possible, though, that this giving up is somewhat related to her abuse situation at home. At first glance, this looks like another cute Natsuki poem that's fun to read. However, there are potentially much deeper meanings if you look closely. This poem was written in juxtaposition to Yuri's raccoon poem, a fairly obvious metaphor of her cutting. Amy in this poem is Yuri, and loving spiders is a nod to Yuri's self-mutilation. Natsuki sees how Yuri's dark poems about her guilty pleasure draws praise from the rest of the DDLC. While her poems are said to be childish, and this worries her. What if people like the protagonist are inadvertently encouraging Yuri to hurt herself? This poem shows that Natsuki sees all of Yuri's good qualities as well, but she's afraid to get closer because that would mean that she would have to accept Yuri's habits. The last line of this poem indicates that Natsuki is ready to talk about Yuri's problem and confront her head on. This is a standard but sweet love poem written by Natsuki to the protagonist. It speaks to how the protagonist helps her feel loved despite her insecurities. A potential explanation to this poem is that Natsuki is writing to Yuri and confronting her. She is willing to carry Yuri's burdens so that she can love herself again. This poem is actually encoded in base 64 and has a title that translates to Open Your Third Eye. With the following text, this is likely related to the Project Libitina and Yuri's last poem in Act 2. This message is pretty self-explanatory as it's not a poem. Natsuki has become aware of Yuri's stranger than usual behavior and even suspects Monika of wrongdoing. Of course, right after she hands you the poem, Monika overwrites Natsuki's words and tells you to ignore this message. Similar to Natsuki's first poem, this poem seems to have a tone of resignation in the face of something inevitable, giving up. Beyond that, it's unclear, except in its connection to the second part of the poem. Many people found it's obvious that the poem is actually about Yuri's cutting, especially considering her focus on the knife. The raccoon in this poem is her urge to self-harm that started off as a stranger, but has taken to following her more and more. As she finds it more and more difficult to resist the knife, every time she cuts, as she says in the last line, she feeds herself again. This is Yuri's version of a love poem to the protagonist. It contains, in contrast to Part 1, which was given with a sense of futility. Part 2 seems to be pushed back against the figure is the protagonist, who somehow breaks down Yuri's walls and seeks to understand her despite her flaws. Yuri feels warmth, from love, presumably, despite being a ghost, and her heart is amber. Yuri's beach poem is a lot more mysterious than Natsuki's. The meaning is unclear. Some people think this poem is how Yuri sees love. Some people also say that it's how Yuri understands life in general. While many have tried to decode this poem for a true meaning, a more sensible explanation is that this wheel simply represents Yuri's spinning emotions about the protagonist. She has mixed feelings due to Monika's influence, as well as her own obsessive personality. These random words express those feelings. Not only is Yuri's last poem written in a paper that is covered in her blood and urine, but the front make is clearly impossible to read. However, people have decrypted it after recognizing that it's written in a font called demographic script. It's unclear that the first part of the poem is saying, and it's a mishmash of random words and commas. But the ending is interesting as it references the third eye, just like Natsuki's encoded poem. If you put the two together, the full poem says, "The poem is very graphic, and it's not for the faint of heart, but the third eye, possibly the eye of the cover of Yuri's book, The Portrait of Markov, it seems to be consistent, as Yuri describes that it's about human experiment prison, and has been proven to be linked to the Team Salvato and contains graphic reports of human experimentation. There are plenty of theories online if you're looking for nightmare fuel. Monika, being a special being in this game, realizes very early on that the protagonist is just another character programmed to the game. But someone real, the player behind the character. Monika's self-awareness continues in this poem as she realizes that she's just a bunch of color pixels and math formulas programmed by code. The save me and load me are obvious nods to the fact that this is a game in which you can save and load to replay various parts of the story. There's also a tip how to achieve the true ending. This is Monika's inner monologue about how there's no meaning to life. Probably because she's realized that she's just a game character that may or may not get picked by the protagonist. This is a continuation of Monika's first poem and her self-awareness, except at this point in the game, Monika is starting to realize that the protagonist will never pick her, and her attitude towards others are turning more and more toxic. She's ready to take action. This is identical to the first version of Save Me, except for the last line, she now says delete her. Just as the previous version of the poem gave you, the player, a hint on how to achieve the true ending. This message gives you some insight on what you'll have to do later in the game. This poem was written by Monika after she had been deleted the rest of the characters in the game and had the protagonist to herself forever. At this point, she thinks she has won, until you delete her. It's obviously a crudely drawn picture of Sayuri hanging herself in Act 1. The happy thoughts refers to those of her poems, bottles. This poem is just a single sentence. A short giggle sound is displayed when the poem is displayed, and the voice in the same voice is Monika in the credits. Text is blacked out for the exception of nothing is real, but the image can be manipulated to show the text. It's unclear if this is written by Monika or Natsuki, but it's likely not Sayuri given that the author refers to him or herself as the responsible one, although the black bar cannot be manipulated to show the text beneath it. The file exif data shows that the obscure words is Yuri. The point of this poem is probably to make you think that it's going to reveal a jump scare at the dot. Anticlimactically, The dot changes to I love you after 10 seconds, which indicates that this is a poem that was probably written by Monica as a joke. Speaking of jokes, this poem is not really one, as it more or less draws a parallel with the tragic events of Act 1 of Doki Doki Literature Club. The man is the protagonist, the girl who liked him is Sayuri, the third party is Monica. This is not a poem, but a disoriented image of Monica. When the player tries to dismiss the picture, a second, but distorted differently picture appears briefly before continuing. This is a metaphorical poem written by Monica about the game. The TV is the protagonist, and Monica's three friends are Sayuri, Yuri, and Natsuki. When Monica fell asleep and had a dream, this represented her self-awareness in the game. But despite that self-awareness, she was still stuck in the game. The nails represent Monica's feelings of being trapped. As the protagonist responded to the characters in the game, TV told jokes. The characters responded, laughed accordingly. It's implied that this poem is written by Natsuki about her abusive father. It starts off with her father's positive traits, which probably don't happen often. It quickly turns negative as she describes his abusive behavior. This is Yuri writing during Act 2, when her obsessive happiness exists due to her degraded mental state. Unfortunately for her, no one took her to the emergency room when she blew her cover. It's unclear how this drowning poem is related to the game, but there has been speculation that it's related to this image, which was made by an artist who worked on Team Salvato. Maybe another Project Limiter reference. There's also various Easter eggs in the game by a YouTuber named MattPat from the game Theorist. Has went in depth of the Easter eggs, link in the description. Well, there you have it. That's my review on Doki Doki Literature Club. If you enjoyed it, then give it a like. If you want to see more, then subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when I make new videos. And I will see you in the next one.